Hi, guys. This is Ashley with Are You Sure You Want to Do That? And this is Interviewing With. And today we have an amazing guest for you guys. She is the person behind the amazing event Jasper's Game Day and the very soon Jasper Con. Fenway Jones, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Of course. So first of all, we all want to know how did Jasper's Game Day, JasperCon came about?
Unfortunately, I lost two friends to suicide uh, in the span of about 10 months
Oh
a
my
couple
God.
years ago. And so I didn't know how to deal with the pain that I was feeling at that point in time, the pain, the heartache, all of that. And I wanted to be able to use that to create hope and happiness for other people who were in the same types of situations, feeling suicidal, having suicidal ideations, dealing with the aftermath, and to try to prevent it instead of just reacting. And so I decided to do it as a gaming event because Jasper, the namesake of the charity, was my gaming partner in crime before he died by suicide. So
Oh, honey. Well, I think he would be very proud of you, and what you're doing is such an amazing event, and someone who suffers from anxiety and depression and life. Um, we appreciate you for bringing that to the forefront.
absolutely. It's important to reduce the stigma, as a lot of people don't see mental health as the same as physical health, and Jasper's Game Day as a whole strives to make them equal so that people can openly talk about mental health and mental illness, so that we can work to get it better.
Absolutely, it's so important. And again, thank you for doing all that you do. Um, how long have you been DMing for, and also what got you into D&D?
So I got into D&D because my dad and some of his friends actually were down a player in their weekly game, and my dad was like, "Well, it seems like something you would enjoy here," and just kind of threw me into it. Um, and so that's actually how I met Jasper. And so I played with them every Thursday um, for quite a while. My dad and I drove an hour up north of us to go play, and it was just a ton of fun. And I was trying to think 11 at the time, uh,
Wow.
and I started DMing when I was 13.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. My dad and I started the Adventures League group at one of our local game stores. And so I just kind of got thrown into the fray of DMing when we started getting so many players that we needed another DM.
Well, thank you for putting the DM hat on, because we always need more.
Absolutely.
What has been your biggest struggle DMing?
My biggest struggle DMing is definitely the fact that a lot of people don't see me as the typical. So a lot of people, obviously I'm not the typical DM, um but a lot of people have doubted my abilities and doubted my judgment because of either my gender or my age. So they think, oh, she's just 13, 14, 15, 16. She can't know everything that I know in this situation, or she's just this small girl who can't how would she know what's going on. So that's definitely been my biggest struggle, and that and the fact that a lot of times I don't deal well with people trying to question my judgment. So those two don't go well together.
Yeah, that can get frustrating. Also being a female DM, we just recently got a couple of female players in my campaign, but being a female DM for mostly male, it's it's interesting.
Definitely is.
You roll with the punches, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so as you know, being a DM, we are always improving ourselves for not just ourselves, but for our players, our table. What is it something that you would actively like to work on?
Um, I actively am trying to always, I mean, obviously, I'm trying to better myself in general. Um, but I personally am trying to work on more, you know, getting to know my players better. I love the story aspect, but I have a
Absolutely.
hard time tying characters into the story. So, especially with one shots, it's hard to give people specific hooks for their characters. And I've always been it's been a little bit difficult for me to um, learn the characters while I'm DMing the game and be able to get the hooks in so that people are paying attention and interested in what's going on.
Mm. Mm-hmm. There's a ongoing joke in my campaign, like all of my players, because we're constantly bringing in new players and old players have to leave and stuff because of life. So every time we bring in a new player, I don't even do plot hooks anymore. It's just there's somebody at the door, just to go get the door.
Yeah. Go to the door.
Just go open the door. There's somebody there that the main guy knows, and they're like, yeah, okay. Oh, you're joining the game. So I get that completely. Um, do you have any pet peeves at your table?
Yes, I do. um, because of the fact that I like to have the obviously every DM likes to have the attention of their players. I very much dislike having electronics at the tables. Um, like if I can see that you have your character sheet up on your computer,
Mm-hmm.
on your phone or something, and you're only using it for your character sheet, that's fine. But I it messes me, it throws me for a loop when somebody's sitting there texting and not like showing me any or paying me any attention when I'm saying these important details and you're just texting your friends about what you're doing later tonight. um so that's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Mm, that dreaded cell phone.
Now I can't say that I don't do it myself, and
Of
then I'll
course.
catch myself doing it, and I'm like, I'm such a terrible human being for doing it to this DM. But yeah.
I mean, it happens. Sometimes, it's you have to reply back or you're looking
Mhm.
something up. And I'll give my players some passes, but like if you're actively doing it or you're like doing memes or and you're not paying attention and it's like then it makes me self-conscious like am I doing something wrong? Did I not do it right? Oh my god, the story's horrible.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Like, if you're doing it every once in a while, but you're like actively
Hmm.
trying to show you're into the game, then I'm like, all right, that's fine. But if you're like spending the entire time on an electronic or doing something that's not related to the game, then I do get very subconscious.
Yeah, I couldn't agree enough. Um, so I have a question that I'd like to ask. Why do you think D&D is such an important thing for our youth, and how do you think that it helps us, or you guys?
Well, so one thing that I've learned while doing charity work and doing a lot of D&D and going to all the different conventions um, is that D&D and there in the community is basically like a family. And you've got your crazy aunts, your crazy uncles, but everybody in the long run loves each other and just works to support each other and build each other up. And I think it's so good to have that community and that loving relationship where some people might not have that in what their home life, their regular life, but if they can come to the D&D table, and they don't even have to be themselves, they can be their character, but they have that support around the table, and maybe even if the other people don't know that they're getting it, but they have it. It's such a nice way to know that you're not alone and that you don't have to go through life by yourself.
Absolutely.
Or like me and all of my charity partners like to say, you do not have to roll initiative alone.
Oh, I love that. Fenway, do you have any advice for aspiring DMs, future DMs? Um, as I've said this plenty of times in the past, when you start D&D, or just really any tabletop RPG, it is intimidating, learning the rules and learning the lore. And this thing has been out forever, and you have all of this stuff to go through. So it's intimidating, especially if you're not great at math. Um, what do you have to say to those aspiring DMs and new DMs?
Well, so a couple of different things. One, if you are stuck on a rule or you don't know this rule, then make a ruling on it. And then, if a player disagrees with the way you rule it, or if you think that you might have been wrong, have somebody look it up while you continue the game. It shows maturity and confidence in yourself when you're able to make a decision, but also when you are able to admit when you might have been wrong or you think that it might have needed a different ruling. So just continue with the game, but also have a player look it up while you are continuing. That's one of the best ways that I've found to solve conflicts at the table. And I mean, in reality, you are the DM, so if you say so, you say so. But players do appreciate it when you give them jobs to do or acknowledge the fact that they might also be right. And then secondly, yeah, right, yeah, nah, what? No, but um, secondly, just don't let the people get to you. Like there will always be people who do not appreciate what you're doing, do not agree with the way you're doing it. But you should never let them get to you because you keep learning, you keep bettering yourself and working towards a future where you can confidently say, these people didn't agree with what I was doing, but I continued forward and now I'm here. And that's something that I've been working on and continued to work forward towards. So that's always nice to know.
Thank you so much for the advice and the insight. I agree with everything you just said. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about Jasper's Game Day and what are we expecting here soon?
Absolutely. So, Jasper's Game Day is a nonprofit organization. We raise money for suicide prevention and awareness. Um, in normal times, we would be traveling around mostly the US, but sometimes outside of, doing events in game stores and at conventions, raising money for the local crisis centers. Um, that's one thing that we strive to make aware is that all of the money that we raise stays local to where we raise it. So you are actively affecting your community if you are donating at one of our events. We're not just giving it to a large corporation. Well, they do good work, but if you are donating to someplace in your community, you know where it's going and you know what's being done with it, and you can actively see the change in your personal community. And so that's something that we are working on, and we like to make known that we do. And so we usually do events in person, but recently we have been moving online due to the whole um, Corona COVID stuff. And so we recently had Jasper's Game Week, um, and that was very, very successful. And now we are going to be doing Jasper's Online, or Jasper's Con, at the end of August, August 26th through 30th.
I am so looking forward to it. And it's amazing, and it's an amazing event that you guys have put together, and it definitely it hits home for me a lot, and just like so many out there. So I can't wait to see what is next for Jasper's game day and Jasper Call.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. But yeah, so Jasper's Con, just a little more background information for those of
Sure.
you who don't really know what it is. We are going to be raising money for the Acoma Project, which works with specifically um, teen females who are of a minority, and suicide prevention in those groups throughout the U.S. And we are also working with, so we're splitting the money between them and a app called the Not Okay app, and it is run by a few of my charity friends. And it basically is an app where you can put a few of your, like, I guess, speed dial contacts in, and if you are in a rough mental state or you feel like you need help, you don't even have to communicate with them. You just press a button and it gives them your location and says, this person needs help and this is where they're at. And so we're donating, the money from Jasper's Con is going to the Acoma Project and to the Not Okay app. And so that's the two, and they're super great causes. And I'm honored to be able to work for them and work towards bettering the community for them.
That is absolutely amazing. Um, Guys, check out Jasper Con on August what again?
26th through 30th, and it will be on, so all 5 days will be on Thread Raiders channel. It is a Twitch channel. And throughout the weekend there will be a couple of games on the Daddy Warbucks channel, and then 2 games on the Mini Terrain Domain channel.
Very cool. Again, looking so forward to it. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I'm personally running a game on Thursday, so I'm really excited for that. We'll see how that goes.
See, we need more DMs.
No, we had to add channels. It was originally going to be on one channel, and then more people were like, "I want a DM," and we didn't want to turn them away, so we were like, "Oh, okay, sure." So originally it was going to be the 28th through 30th, and then we added the 27th, the 26th, and the 27th, and then we added 2 more channels. So no more DMs,
No,
more players, sure.
well, just more DMs in general, because we all want to
Okay,
play.
yeah, yes, more DMs in general, sure.
um, Fenway, would you be up for a few games?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first one is, and I'm sorry, but I'm putting you right on the spot. I need you to stat yourself, and I need you to give me an in real life class. So what would you be, and
Okay.
what's your stats?
I would definitely be some sort of magic user, mental stat based class. Probably, I personally favor the wild magic sorcerer just because I am very creative and definitely a little chaotic sometimes. Um, so that would probably be my choice class wise. Um, my stats, oh goodness. Do we have to go standard array or are we
You can pick whatever you want.
okay? I would probably say wisdom being the, like, based off of intelligence is like the book smart, wisdom is more the street smart. So I'd probably say 12, 13, 14, probably 13 for wisdom.
Okay.
I'd probably say around a 15 for intelligence. Um, probably a 16 for charisma because I work with people a lot. Um, don't worry, we're getting to the bad stats. Strength, I'd probably say 10. I'm not very strong. I mean, mentally, yes. Physically, no. Um, Dexterity, I'd probably go like a 10 and a half. That's not an actual stat, but it's there. Um,
We made it. That's a ruling.
yes, that's my ruling. Fenway's ruling. That's a 10 and a half. And Constitution, I would probably say an 11 because I do not have a high pain tolerance, but I don't complain about it much.
You
I'll
know what?
be
That's important.
yeah, I'll be in pain, and you probably will see it on my face, but I try not to complain about it.
See, that's where I would have to dump stat because my all of that would just be fives.
Yeah. I mean, that's being generous. The physical stats are being generous to myself.
It's okay. It's okay. I like them. Um, Tell me what monster or creature or construct would you be from any of the Wizards of the Coast books?
Um, oh, see, that's a hard choice. I personally, um, I'd have to go with probably either a Medusa or a Deep Scion. Medusa because I love, love, love Greek mythology. Um, and I literally am obsessed with it. One time I went to the Parthenon in Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
and the tour guide said something wrong about one of the stories, and I corrected him in the middle of the tour.
I love that so much. Like,
Uh,
actually, we need to talk about this.
it was about Athena, and I think he said something about how she got her shield, and I was like, "That's not how that happened." No. So,
Oh god.
granted, I was like 11, but still.
I love it even more.
Yeah. So I would probably say either Medusa or the Deep Scion because the Deep Scion is the very first monster I ever worked with in my first adventure. Um, and they are a creature that can speak one telepathically, and they can breathe underwater, and they are slightly they can shape change, but they only shape change from their like original human form to their scion form. The backstory of a scion is basically if somebody were to go off on like a boating trip or something like that, and their boat was to capsize or something was to happen and they were thrown in the water, the Kraken would give these people a choice. You can either drown or become one of my servants. And the people who choose to become his servants become scions. And the process of becoming a scion is basically very, very painful because your emotions are ripped from you and ripped from, like, separated from your soul.
Oh.
Um, I did a lot of research into this.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not a fun time, but they are super cool. Um, super cool monsters because they basically have this psychic scream that is heard in your heads, but also if it's underwater, it can be heard by the Kraken no matter where he's at.
Now I'm trying to figure out how can I put this in my campaign. If any of you guys are watching it, I'm not gonna do that.
So,
um, Fenway, I have a question. Do you have a DM motto or a DM saying?
um, well, basically, I try and my mentor Satine Phoenix taught me basically the very first thing that she taught me is to DM with a yes and or a yes, how do we do this? Um, mindset. So Basically, that means you say yes 99.9% of the time, as much as you can. And that allows the players to do the most creative, inspired thing that, excuse me, that they want to do. But then you go, but how do we do this? Can we do this? How would you expect this to be done? And so the yes and motto is basically what I try and live by as a DM.
I love it. Are you ready for a little bit of this or that?
Yes, absolutely.
Cleric or paladin?
Cleric.
Fireball or scorching ray?
Ooh, fireball. Like I said, a little bit chaotic.
4d6 or standard array?
Standard array.
Homebrew or store bought?
Or homebrew for sure.
Eldritch Blast or Firebolt?
Eldritch Blast.
Wizard or Warlock?
I've never played either.
Ooh. Beholder or Mind Flayer?
Beholder.
Rope or Tinderbox?
Tinderbox.
Yeah. Uh, last one, Dungeon or Dragon?
Dragon.
What color dragon though?
White.
Yeah.
See, the white dragons are very they're not chosen most often because they have like an intelligence of like 4. So they're not smart at all. Um but they're very ferocious, um and like chaotic evil, I think. Is either chaotic evil or lawful evil. I'm not really sure which one. But they're just fantastic beasts and I love them. Also, I'm like a huge advocate for the underdog because my favorite animal is sharks, and I love the weird monsters. So,
um, Fenway, we have one more question before we send our adventurers off. Um, but before we get to that question, um, can you tell us or plug any of your stuff where we can get our adventurers to come to you?
absolutely. So, on Twitter, I am Fenway the Teen DM, or Jasper's Game Day. I'm Jasper's Game Day on all of the other social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can find me on the DMs Guild. I realized I said homebrew instead of store bought when considering I literally write store bought adventures. But they count as homebrew for myself.
Right? It's
um,
okay. It's store bought for you guys. It's homebrew. It's homebrew for her.
yeah, right. um, but you can find me on the DMs Guild. I've written a total of 8 adventures, I think.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I think my most recent ones were for Gary Con and Gamehole Con. Um, yeah, so go ahead, check those out. And you can find me on Twitch on So Many Games every other Sunday for Duval and Dragons, and every Thursday on Nerdarchy for the Daubers, which is a homebrew game that I am part of.
Go check her out now, guys. I'm gonna put you on the spot one more time, but
Absolutely.
this time I need you to give me an adventuring hook. How are you going to send our adventurers off? As DMs, we're always coming up with stuff right on the spot, and that's what I'm doing. I want you to send our viewers off.
Absolutely. So, uh, you are laying in bed and you're asleep, but you kind of feel, that half awake, half asleep type of mindset. You're in that mindset and you start seeing this like flashing colors in your head. And this face, this half dragon, half skeletal face appears in your head. And he says, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? You must go and watch this tournament and do what you can. Do what you can. I mean, it's all for fun and games. It's all fun and games till someone gets hurt. Um, and you know, do what you can to support it and uh, follow my instructions. You'll know what they are when you get there. Um, and you wake up almost with it's foggy. It's all foggy. For those of you who have glasses, it's like when your breath steams up glasses, like with the masks.
Yeah. Or like you just come out of a cold car and into like a hot, the hot
Yes,
heat.
yes. um, and but that's just how your eyes are, and you walk towards this giant theater, almost made out of. It looks like it's made out of thread, and you go in, and there are these tournaments going on with these gladiators fighting all of these different types of monsters. And you sit down almost as if under someone else's control. And now it is your turn to figure out why you are there.
So, adventurers, what do you want to do with that adventuring hook? What would you do if your DM gave you that? Immediately, I'm thinking, my God, what would I do? I don't know what I would do. Can I fight something? Can I
No,
talk to
there's nobody
something?
else around you. There's nobody else around you.
Ooh. So I gotta try to find something to talk to.
Yes. It's almost as if you're alone, but you can see other people there, but you just can't seem to reach them. It's almost as if
Ooh.
there's a screen between you and them.
Ooh, that's so good. I'm gonna think about that. And I might use that. Again, if any of my viewers, I mean, my players watch it, I'd love to. Nice. Fenway, you have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of interviewing with. And guys, go check out all of the amazing work that Fenway does. She has so many amazing DMs that she has gotten for Jasper Con and Jasper's Game Day. Support the stream if you're able to, and thank you so much. Yeah, you, like I said, you've been amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a blast.
I'm glad you enjoyed, and I will see you adventurers next week. Bye.